Hello everybody. Be sniffling a little bit today because I've got a cold. Jan Spencer, and today's talk is going to drift into the 4 stages of enlightenment. It's something I wanted to talk as a prequel before the next translated episode of Luangpo Rusi Lingdam's 12 episodes on the path to enlightenment in Bemsukha Vipatsako in a easy and pleasant and non-stressful manner. And before I begin, I want to say that how we experience reality is very related to perception, and how we perceive things, what things mean, depend on how we perceive things. And so, excuse me, the 4 stages of enlightenment as taught in Buddhism seem to be, when we hear about them and we are taught about them, we then develop this view of 4 different attainments, or 4 stages. So we see them as like hurdles or steps on the way, hurdles to get over or steps to achieve. And there isn't really anything to achieve, because you're still where you are. The 4 stages of enlightenment, each stage, for example, what we call the first stage, the stream enterer, or the Sotapanna, Sodaban in Thai, Prasodaban. It's not a stage you achieve. It's just a description of a certain kind of person or being, or how a certain kind of person or being is. So a being that is a certain way is defined as a stream enterer. So basically, what one view would be to attain these 4 stages of enlightenment. Another view, another way of seeing it would be to say that you cultivate these ways of, or these states of being. And so, for example, a stream enterer, he will have 3 or 4 qualities, such as that he will have complete unshakable faith in the fact of the Buddha's enlightenment, and think of that every day, as the enlightened one in his mind every day. He would have, his precepts would be kept, be they 5 precepts or 227, but they wouldn't be, you have also path and fruit. If it was the fruit of the Sotapanna, of the stream entry, not entered the stream but entered the path to stream entry, and then the fruit would be to have completely entered stream entry. This all entails envisioning a path, and there is a path, but it's imaginary when we measure it like this. Excuse me. So it's just for explanation to say that you attain a path and then the fruit, because actually what is happening is it's more like you're shedding things, shedding defilement off of you. It's as if you're cleaning mud from your shoe and you're slowly polishing off the stains. Some stains come off more easily, some stains come off with more difficulty. And so, for example, sila, precepts, the intention to steal or to speak ill of others, or to lie, or to create discord between 2 other people, or between other people or beings through speech, or to commit adultery, or to get completely intoxicated and lose your senses, or to kill, or whatever, to commit unspeakable acts, or whatever is against moral and ethical behavior, or which harms others, or which brings suffering to yourself later. We can go to a temple and put on a white suit, and we can keep these precepts, but what happens there is the purity is not attained, and I really don't like using that word because it entails actually gaining something, getting something. There is nothing to be gained. There is only something to be shed, defilements to be shed. And so when we keep the sila, we still have the intention to speak ill, to think harmful thoughts, speak harmful things, do harmful acts, or our heart will have harmful intentions, harmful feelings towards others, but we just don't do it because we keep a rule. But we haven't purified ourselves like that. We are still full of defilement, but we are refraining from allowing the defilement to take control of us and make us act, which would be, of course, what Buddhists call karma. I would call regret, or would call things, acts which lead to suffering of one's own or others or both, or which are not auspicious, inauspicious, akusala dhamma, like in the Abhidhamma, akusala dhamma, auspicious dhammas and inauspicious dhammas. But if those intentions to swat the fly, or that reaction within when you see a fly go past, or a mosquito go past, or an ant crawl onto you, to swat it, if you notice that intention there and you refrain from swatting it, then you know you are keeping sila, but you have not purified yourself from that defilement of harmful intention, so you are not a stream enterer if that reaction is present. But if that reaction is not present, and various other reactions, similar reactions to speak, if a consciousness arises that what the intention that is arising to speak ill, you recognize it and you refrain, then you have sila. But if it doesn't even arise, then you have cultivated a state of being that has purified oneself from that particular defilement, which is what people call the attainments of enlightenment, of the path to enlightenment. And so stream entry is much more about making the step from keeping rules to actually becoming, or to actually shedding the very intention, the very reaction which breaks those precepts. And of course there are other things. One must have complete faith in the facts of the Dhamma, of the Buddha Dhamma, of the Buddha, and believe in enlightened beings who have attained these paths and fruits, which is a way of saying it that is how it's taught in Buddhism, but it's not how I like to say it. I like to say shed, who has shed the defilements and become purified and harmless, because a Buddha is harmless. He has no enemies, has shed all intentions, harmful intentions and speech and actions and thoughts and feelings. Doesn't have such mud on his shoes anymore, doesn't have to polish it anymore, it's completely polished, it's just a clear crystal. And so these four paths to enlightenment, the Sotapanna, the stream enterer, the Sagatakami, the once returner, the Anakami, the never returner, and the Arahant, the completely liberated, enlightened being, they are not really hurdles or steps along the path to attain, something to be gained. There is nothing to be gained. There is nothing to become. In fact, it is about stopping becoming. It's not about becoming something. One should not think to become something. One who is in what we call the 4 stages of enlightenment does not try to become something. If you're trying to become one of them, you're still thinking in as the Buddhachana. The Buddhachana is the ordinary, illusory, dream-thinking mind of an ordinary illusion, samsaric being. And it's a thought process of rupa and nama and form and name. And it's what traps us here in samsara, illusion, maya, because of our samsaric dream thinking. It's about purification. It's not about attaining magic or some kind of halo or wings or getting your wings like a pilot does. It's not about becoming. It's not about getting things. It's about getting rid of things. It's about getting rid of them, not about getting them. It's not about attaining, getting things. It's about getting rid of things. There is nothing to attain. There is only to purify from defilement, and the desire to attain something is a defilement. And so that was something I wanted to get into about slightly off the wall, outside of Buddhism, look at the 4 stages of enlightenment and the fact that perception attains our understanding of the meaning of things, and the meaning of things depends on your perception. And so I like to think of it as it's also just another view, another way of painting a picture, but it's not the thing itself. It's to say shedding the defilement. And the more you shed, the more you become one of those 4 stages of enlightenment, that Buddhachana, that unenlightened beings call the 4 stages of enlightenment, but which an enlightened being knows is merely just an explanation. It's just a formula to explain something, but it has no actual definite mileposts along the way. There is just a constant shedding. It's like a snowball effect, and it just grows on itself and cultivates until the causes of that shedding of defilement come to fruition, and then it just falls away, and you become a Buddha. And that's Ajahn Spencer for this talk. Once more, I'm for the Buddha Magic Project, signing off.